Hello, hello. Happy New Year. It's the first video I'm recording in January 2026, and I want to talk about something I see again and again with yoga teachers, and it's something I've experienced myself as well. Most yoga teachers are not under earning because they lack commitment or skill or discipline, anything like that. The majority of teachers that I meet are already working really, really hard, often harder than is sustainable. They're teaching multiple classes a week. They're holding a lot of emotional space for their students, and they're trying all the things to make their income work by piecing together so many different things at once. And yet, despite all that effort, the financial side of things often feels fragile. You might know that I've been there, and I know most of you have been there. So, not necessarily dramatic, but unstable enough that it creates a constant low level stress in the background. And the thing is that for such a long time, yoga culture or this industry has carried this quiet belief that if you really care about the work, money shouldn't matter too much. That if things feel hard financially, the solution is probably to trust more, want less, or, somehow be more aligned, or, you shouldn't care about money. And I think that completely misses the real issue, right? Effort stopped being the problem a really long time ago. What I see instead is a pattern of very capable yoga teachers putting enormous amounts of energy into things that don't actually support them long term. So on the surface, it looks like you're super productive, right? But underneath, it's so often inefficient in ways that slowly lead to exhaustion. So a common example is Instagram. I'm using Instagram. Most of you probably do. So, and many yoga teachers, they are posting regularly, sometimes even every day. They're sharing thoughtful content, showing up consistently, but without having anything clear to sell or any real invitation for people to take a next step. And your goal isn't to post like an influencer on Instagram. That's the biggest mistake your teachers make here, that you think you have to post like an Instagram, like an influencer, so all the time and share and be inspirational. You should use it as a business owner, right? So your Instagram is not for your friends, it's for your clients. So the effort goes into creating and posting and sharing, but there's no structure behind it. There's no clear next step for someone who resonates with what you share to move closer to start working with you. And if that's not there, obviously, right, it gets really, really hard to make more money. So you feel like you're productive, you're doing all the things, but nothing really changes financially. And the assumption becomes that you just need to post more or try harder or also show up on that other platform, when in reality, visibility isn't the issue at all. Another example I see often is memberships that sound supportive and spacious in theory, but are very demanding in practice. So you might have a small group of members, and you might be showing up live and multiple times every week, teaching, holding space, answering questions, being fully present. But the truth is, for all that energy, the what you get back is very little. So if you have only a very small audience, it's really, really hard to sell a membership successfully and to grow it. And and then also always get new members, because people also they sign off. So they cancel their membership, which is normal behavior. And so you always need to get new members. And that can be really, really hard, especially if you don't really have a big audience yet. Most of us don't, right? But other people do. And then it's a really great business model. One of my private clients, she just launched her new yoga membership and she has over 300 members already. But she's not starting with 100 people on her email list or 500 people on Instagram. She has a really huge audience. So for her, that business model actually really makes a lot of sense. But if you're not there yet, it can be really, really hard to sell a membership. So it can be meaningful work, and I get it if you love it, but it's a lot of energy for relatively little income, especially when everything depends on you continuing to show up every single week. There's very little leverage here, and there's almost no room to step back then without the whole thing, falling apart. So don't stop there. Okay, that would be my recommendation. If you don't have a membership yet, don't start there. If you already have a membership, let's think about other things you can do to fill it consistently. Another thing that keeps people stuck and working too hard for too little is launching online courses and more programs and challenges and all those things that you sell for maybe $100 or maybe $200, maybe even $300, right? So let's say there's the online course that took months to create. That has definitely been me. You planned it carefully, you recorded the content, you built the sales page, and finally you put it on your website. And now it's just sitting there. Maybe someone buys it occasionally, but most people don't. And instead of questioning how it's being positioned or sold and coming up with a strategy, most yoga teachers, or let's say many yoga teachers, assume the course itself must be the problem. The offer itself isn't working. I should create something else in order to make money instead of looking at the structure around what already exists. That's definitely been me. I've been in that exact place. So that constant cycle of creating and launching and feeling disappointed and then starting again is incredibly common, and it's also incredibly draining. So what's really happening in all of those situations isn't a lack of effort or creativity or you being good at what you do. It's a lack of structure. Let's just accept that. You need structure, especially in 2026. And when you have that in place, this is where things begin to change. Most yoga teachers don't have a clear niche, a simple sales system, and a content strategy that actually supports that system. And as a result, everything feels harder than it needs to be, and nothing ever really compounds. Instead of effort building momentum over time, it keeps resetting. And if you change that, this is where things begin to change. So the first shift is getting clear on your niche. Not in a necessarily trendy or narrow way, but in a grounded way that answers a simple question. Who is this work actually for that I'm doing? And what do they come to you for? When that isn't clear, everything else becomes fuzzy. Content stays broad, offers feel vague, and people may like you without really understanding why they should work with you or invest in what you offer. You want to really have a super clear niche. People need to get what you do immediately, and this is especially important for an online business. When you are a yoga teacher in a small town, your location is already your niche, but when you present what you do online, let's say on Instagram, in theory, everybody who's using Instagram, could find your profile and could be your client. And that's an insane amount of people. So they want to know what you do, specifically. If you want to build an online business and you want people to find you online and start working with you you need to niche down and you need to be really clear what problem you solve. The second shift is having an actual sales system instead of relying consistently on hope or personal conversations to carry everything. Like most people can sell really well in person. Like when you do a workshop and then you invite people to something, and then people trust you already. So they met you, they've just done a class with you, so they trust you already. That's why so many yoga teachers, when they launch, for example, an online course for the first time, and like their existing students, they already know them and trust them. And so they get a few sales and it's great. But then when you try to sell it to strangers, you don't really know what to do, how to build that trust. And that's where the system comes in, right? So it might look really simple. It might look like this. Someone finds you through your content, then they're invited into a free training, or you share a resource that speaks directly to their problem. And from there, they're offered a small paid digital offer that helps them get a tangible result. And then there's a clear next step into a more premium program where deeper work happens. So you don't need a long list of offers for this to work. You can build a very solid business with just 2 paid offers if they are well designed and supported by a system that runs consistently. So what matters is that people aren't just consuming your content, they're being guided somewhere. So you're helping them actually taking the next step to help them solve their problem, right? And the third piece of this system, so we have like your niche, we have your offers and your sales system, and then it's content. So most yoga teachers are creating content reactively, deciding week by week what to post or day by day, and hoping it somehow adds up. And that constant decision making is exhausting, right? Let's face it. Especially when it doesn't clearly connect to sales. A content strategy, having that in place, isn't about posting more or being more visible and showing up everywhere. It's about knowing what you're speaking to, why you're saying it, and how it supports the offers you already have. So when content aligns with your niche and your sales system, it stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling supportive. It gets so much easier when you know what you want to sell with a piece of content. So you're no longer starting from scratch every week and your ideas get to deepen instead of constantly changing. Do you see why it makes so much sense to really work on setting this up, getting that clarity around your niche, your offer, your content, instead of like trying something new every other week, like doing a challenge, and then you're creating another small program, and then you're talking about this, and then you're talking about that, and nothing really connects to each other. Instead, spend the time and energy because, it's going to be a little bit of effort to set this up. Not as much as you might think. There's nothing scary or techy about this. You don't need like software that's crazy, like ClickFunnels or something. That's not necessary. What's necessary is to have this idea where you want to get your clients, your students. And you're like, when all of these things come together, something shifts. That's what I want for you. Like, I want that predictable income. I want that for you, that decisions feel calmer and that the business starts to support you instead of draining you. So this isn't about hustling harder or turning yoga into something transactional. It's about creating a structure that can actually hold the depth of the work you're already doing. And if you're listening to this and right now you're feeling tired or frustrated or quietly wondering how long this is sustainable, I want to say this clearly. You're not behind and you're not doing it wrong. Most likely, you've simply outgrown a setup that relies too heavily on effort and not enough on structure. And once you see that, a different kind of reset becomes possible. One that's about recalibration rather than starting over. If you want help with this, I have a 7-day yoga business reset that you can get access to for free in my free community, the Blissful Biz Hive. So I share the link in the show notes. You'll find it on School as well, SKOLL/Blissful Biz Hive in one word. And you can join for free. You can also upgrade into a paid tier where you get access to my step-by-step training to build your online business, to choose your niche, unlock your secret sauce and messaging, create a small digital offer, and create content that sells it. And another tier also we have weekly calls and monthly deep dive workshops. It's really, really amazing. I would love to see you inside. We have an implementation sprint that starts next week, January 12th, how to create your first digital offer or your next small digital offer in just 5 days. And I would love to see you there. So click the link in the show notes or send me DM on Instagram if you want it. And let's get started. Let's get your online business working. Let's give it the structure it deserves. Let's make your life easier. Thanks so much for being here, and I talk to you again soon.